Inflation has three main effects: demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and built-in inflation. The causes of inflation include an increase in the money supply, rising production costs, and built-in inflation due to adaptive expectations. This leads to higher consumer prices, which are measured by price indexes such as the Consumer Price Index, CPI, and the Wholesale Price Index, WPI. Governments and central banks seek to control inflation through monetary policy. Measures used to control inflation include implementing monetary policy, fiscal policy, and other tools such as interest rate hikes and tight credit. Inflation has impacted Americans in several ways, as it has outpaced wages and forced individuals to rely on credit to maintain their standard of living. This has resulted in high levels of debt and a precarious financial situation for many. Additionally, the Austrian business cycle theory suggests that inflationary actions taken by central banks can lead to economic cycles, where the initial expansion of credit leads to a boom, followed by an inevitable bust. We are currently in a period of economic expansionary policy, which could lead to inflation in the future. It is important for individuals to secure their finances and protect themselves against inflation through smart investment strategies. This may include investing in commodities such as gold and silver. They have at times acted as a cartel, manipulating global oil prices. The history of inflation can be traced back to the abandonment of the gold standard and the adoption of the petrodollar. The petrodollar allowed for greater global economic control and has affected inflation rates. However, the lack of liquidity reserves in banks since 2020 has led to failures, highlighting the need for liquidity reserves. Other countries have suffered economic crashes due to hyperinflation, such as Zimbabwe and Venezuela. In the current state of the world, the petrodollar is facing potential devaluation, and we must secure our finances through alternative stores of value such as precious metals. We are the second most in-debt country in the world. We borrow 0.009 on each dollar produced. The Federal Reserve, not part of the federal government or our economic reserves, dictates inflation, interest rates, and loan call-ins. That's business loan call-ins. No matter what your original terms were, the Fed has the power to stop small businesses and immediately take over any liquidity owed or earned. Now the trifecta of the perfect storm. OPEC is a group of 13 countries that produce and export oil, controlling close to 40% of world oil production. They have at times acted as a cartel, manipulating global oil prices. OPEC has faced challenges to its influence in recent years, including the emergence of the United States as a major oil exporter and the global shift to cleaner energy sources. OPEC's impact on the global economy and its market power have been debated, but economic research generally finds that oil prices would be lower if OPEC did not exist. OPEC has partnered with Russia in the OPEC Plus coalition to coordinate production and stabilize prices. However, OPEC's power has been waning due to internal divisions, regional power struggles, and rising budgets in some wealthy member states. The recent Russian-Saudi price war demonstrated the vulnerability of U.S. shale producers. Divisions within OPEC are also likely to persist, as seen by Qatar's withdrawal from the organization in 2019. The rise of shale oil, increasing U.S. energy independence, and global efforts to fight climate change all contribute to a period of uncertainty for OPEC and its newfound partner Russia. The Silicon Valley Bank, and NY Signature Bank took your money as fast as you put it in and invested it into the Treasury bonds, leaving 0% liquidity on hand. This is supposed to be risk-free loans, with the exception that the banks can hold the loans to maturity, which they cannot. To cover just a fraction of your money, they must do a fire sale back to the Fed at fractions of what they paid just to obtain some liquidity back. This is why banks will continue to fail. They stopped requirements of 10% liquidity of all depositors in 2020 and never went back on. They basically took the green light to gamble with your money that you started a business plan with, saved enough to have equity, worked off to gain capital, and even come to an ROI. They just took what you put in your savings and let the dice fly. You will see it will be harder to move money from business accounts to savings or checking with excuses like, verification fails. With all of this combined, banking rehypothecation will no longer be an option. All net inflow and outflow will become unsustainable like a house of cards. The assets are treasuries. When assets go up, bond interest rates go down. This is when hyperinflation begins, and that is the downfall of every country that has ever failed. Venezuela, Argentina, Zimbabwe, Libya, John Laws, France. The only other alternative is a deflationary death spiral, a Greatest Depression, or a complete default failure. There is too much stress internally and externally for this to be sustainable and cover the American loan. FDIC and the Federal Reserve know this and will announce Article 2 on a Friday. The Silicon Valley Bank, and NY Signature Bank took your money as fast as you put it in and invested it into the Treasury bonds, leaving 0% liquidity on hand. We know how the story ends. We just don't know how much time we have. When there is enough money in the Fed to tip the scales where they are able to purchase the US government. That's the end of the game. So the banks will be closed and we will have to sit and suffer. It's only a matter of time. When banks tighten their belts and make less loans, the total value in our savings is going down. The catalyst for the Great Reset will be a U.S. debt monetization, buying U.S. debt. Banks do not have enough money to pay back loans, and none to begin lending, cover accounts, or make payments. As banks sell their assets, secure yours. So where is our money? All around the world. The mystery in the mid-Atlantic pipes caused a lot of countries to be a little upset at someone's president. That leave us with our palms out. The UE, Russia, China, Korea, Japan, along with OPEC will intentionally default. Deficits.